Welcome students. Today we will discuss Civics Chapter 3, how the state government works. Students, now you are seeing a political map of India. As you can see, India is divided into 28 states and each state is governed by a government, that is called state government. In this chapter, the chapter begins with the short story Whose Responsibility. In this, two girls, they are reading newspaper and they come to know that there is a problem of water shortage in their city of Patalpuram and many people are suffering from diarrhea. They again discuss that their parents are also guiding them not to eat outside food and iced drinks, so they should avoid to stay away from any kind of sickness. In between, police stops them and the police says that don't go from this route because here people are protesting against the current MLA. They inquire that what. The police replies that haha, they seem more angry about what he hasn't done. Then they see a person who is giving a loud speech and demanding that there should be an immediate action should be taken on for public health situation to take public health situation under control. And the person is claiming that the MLA is the responsible. This is a photo of CM of Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal, and this is again the photo of CM of West Bengal, Srimati Mamata Banerjee. In both cases, they both are MLAs. So this is similarity that all chief ministers they first became an MLA. Topic: Who is an MLA? MLA, the full form of MLA is Member of the Legislative Assembly, and he is elected by the people in assembly elections. The MLA belongs to different political parties. Some MLAs are elected as independent candidate. After elections, the MLA of majority party forms the government. So MLAs, they belong to the different political parties, and some MLAs are called independent candidate because they don't belong to any political parties. The party, any political party which gets the majority of the seats, means more than half of the seats in the assembly election, they form the government. And all MLAs, they represent the people of their constituencies. Every state in India has a legislative assembly, as we have seen in the political map of India. A political party whose MLA have won more than half the number of constituencies in a state can be said to be in a majority. So I have just told you that those who get more than half of the seats in the assembly, they're called majority and also called ruling party. And those who are less in number in the assembly, those who are not having they are having less than the half of the seats in the assembly, they are called opposition. So after election, the MLA belonging to the ruling party, they elect one of the MLA as their leader, and that person becomes the chief minister, as in the case of Arvind Kejriwal and Mamata Banerjee we have seen. The chief minister then selects other MLA as ministers. In book also it is mentioned about the majority, about the opposition, about what is India is divided into legislative assembly, which we have just discussed. And there is an example given about the Himachal Pradesh. In Himachal Pradesh, there are 68 assembly constituencies. So this means that in Himachal Pradesh, those who score or those who win more than 34 seats, they can form the government. Then again it is explained in the book that how MLAs become ministers or chief ministers. So we have just seen that the person who is elected as an MLA and who belongs to a ruling party, when he becomes the leader of the ruling party, automatically he is called a chief minister. Majority opposition. Working of the government. So when we form a government, then we need to know what is the working of the government. The legislative assembly is not the only place where opinions are expressed about the work of the government. So legislative assembly means the assembly, the group of people who are responsible to frame the laws, rules. They are also called legislature. But this is not the only place where the opinions are expressed. There are several newspaper, TV channels and other organizations which also talk and discuss about the government. So we know that in different newspaper, different news channels, there are sometimes we see debates where the people from different political parties, they take part in the discussion and they give their views. This is a pic of an assembly. You can see that is how the things are arranged. People sit, the opposition sits in one as a one group, and the ruling party sits in a one group. And the discussions, every time in the assembly there are some issues, sometimes health issues, sometimes some educational issues taken up, and when discussions in the assembly are completed, a press conference is generally held by a particular minister. The minister may be a health minister, an education minister. So they explain to the media that what steps they are going to take to resolve the issue. So media people then inform these discussions through the print and electronic media. The government can also decide to make new laws for the state regarding education, health and sanitation facility. The related department then implement these laws. So this is the pic of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, where you can see Dr. Harshvardhan is giving his views in a press conference. Department work. This is again a pic of a department where the implementation of the law, whenever a new law is enforced, and so the department works accordingly. Whenever the government fails, one more thing, whenever the government fails to satisfy people's need, they organize the rallies, meetings, etc. to raise their voice against the government. So it's again a very important feature of our democratic setup that the government can be criticized. So government is responsible for its work. People can protest against the MLA and ministers who are not working for their welfare. As we have seen in the beginning of the chapter, the two girls, they have seen that people are coming up against the current MLA, and they are conducting a rally and protesting against the MLA for the shortage of water that we have seen. So MLAs or ministers, they all are responsible and they can be criticized if they don't work accordingly or properly. The newspapers, many times the government's policies, the laws, they are discussed here. People, they can hold rallies, dharnas, pradarsan, so they can protest against the government and MLA or the chief minister. So women, they are protesting for their rights. Here you can see people, they are having all these water pots with them, ghada in local language. So they are coming up against the government and they are protesting for the water scarcity and water shortage. So in brief, we have seen that how the state government works. The state government works from the legislative assembly. All the MLAs who win from their respective constituencies, they become a part of legislative assembly. That is why they are called member of legislative assembly. So all MLAs are not minister, but some ministers are MLA, and those ministers who belong to the ruling party and their leader, chief minister, he selects some of the MLAs of his party or her party and they become ministers. Thank you very much.